Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. My sister is 33, female, and I'm 14, female. She had a baby 3 months ago. I just got out of school for the summer and really wanted to rest, but my sister decided she wants to finally get a job. Now she's making me babysit my niece. I have zero experience with babies, and I get overstimulated easily. It's been really hard for me. I asked her if she could put the baby in daycare or something, but she refused. I decided to just suck it up, but it's been exhausting. I have insomnia, and it's hard to sleep when I feel like I need to be awake 24/7 to watch the baby. I'm constantly scared something might happen if I fall asleep. I told my mom how I felt, but she said I'd just have to deal with it. Both my parents work, so I'm left alone with the baby for hours almost every day. A few days ago, I got tired of everything. The night before my sister got ready for work, I snuck out and went to my friend's house so I wouldn't have to deal with it and could finally get some sleep. When I came home that morning after I saw all the missed calls and messages, and my mom and sister were really mad at me. They said I was being selfish and lazy. My sister even quit her job because I told her I'd leave again if she kept making me babysit. I definitely felt bad after. It feels like my whole family is barely talking to me except for my dad, and even he said I shouldn't have done that. Also, I love my niece. This isn't hate to her, she's adorable. A little edit for more info. I see my dad being brought up a bit, but he works in different places with steelwork, so he's very rarely home, but we do call often. My niece's father doesn't want anything to do with her, or my sister. It's been that way since she was pregnant anyway, so she left him and moved back in with us. She had a job before, but quit to take care of the baby when she was a newborn, and up until now, of course. Also, her and my mom work at the same place, so they're both night shift jobs and they're tired when they come home from working. So I usually have to watch my niece a bit longer, so they can rest when they get home since they expect me to sleep while I'm babysitting, but I just can't. I'm so paranoid something could happen, even when I'm feeding the baby and she coughs even a little, or if she's sleeping too hard, I panic. And honestly, I didn't even know daycare wasn't free until I read these comments. I thought maybe it was like, public school, sorry. You're not the a-hole, you did what you did out of desperation. Sit down with your mom and dad and say calmly, "Sister is 33. She chose to have a child, and that means it is her responsibility to figure out childcare instead of trying to steal my childhood from me. You are being irresponsible parents by allowing her to abuse me in this way. I will not be babysitting again, and if I'm left alone with the child again, I will call the police and report child abandonment." Not the a-hole. If you didn't make the baby isn't your responsibility. Your sister made the baby. Caring for the baby is her responsibility, and it's her responsibility to make sure substitute caregivers are willing to provide that care and are fairly compensated. What was her plan when school starts again? Make you drop out? Your parents are also AH because they should have never allowed this to happen. 100% not the a-hole. To expect a 14-year to be the sole care provider for an infant is insane. Was she paying you? If not, then you are not obligated to take care of her child. She is the mother. She is the one who needs to figure it out. Girl, go enjoy your summer. About 5.5 years ago, my sister Emma was away at uni doing her doctorate. She came home for the winter holidays and brought her classmate Dan with her. Dan was from nearby, so he, Emma, and a third friend had agreed to travel together. But Dan missed his last train, so Emma offered him our sofa for the night. I asked Emma if anything was going on with them, and she insisted there wasn't. When Emma said no, I started to chat Dan up. We didn't get together right then, as our unis were on the opposite sides of the country, and Dan and I went on LDR. But we kept in touch over text, and anytime Emma and I were both home, Dan would come by. Then Dan graduated and asked me if it would be weird if he looked for jobs in my area. Once he moved there 3 years ago, we started dating. Looking back, Emma got distant from both of us around this time. But Dan and I really didn't notice, as he had his new job. I was in the middle of my own doctorate, and we were in the honeymoon phase. Dan proposed last year. When we told my family, Emma left the Zoom call. Shortly after, my mother left. then came back and asked to speak to me alone. And from there, it was pretty much just her saying, "How could you do this to your sister?" This was the first time I was made aware of Emma having feelings for Dan. I spoke to Emma and confirmed it, and haven't spoken to her much since then. She and Dan had a conversation with the intention of giving Emma closure, and we thought it was resolved. But Dan and I are trying to nail down our wedding plans, and I've asked our fairly small guest list for an idea of when works for them. As Dan and I still live a few hours away, the majority of my relatives, including my mother, my aunts, uncles, and about half of my cousins, have said they won't be attending out of respect for Emma, who appears to be actively encouraging this. Is there anything I can do about Emma or my family? To clarify the timeline, Dan and Emma met about 8 years ago. I met Dan about 5.5 years ago, over winter holidays. He was only there for one night and left the next morning. So that night, I asked Emma if there was anything going on with them, and when she said no, I went for it. Dan and I exchanged numbers and texted for about 2.5 years, until he graduated and moved to my area. We started dating immediately, 3 years ago, and told everyone. Emma then began to withdraw from us when we started dating, and we didn't know why until 1 year ago, when we announced our engagement and she revealed her feelings for Dan. I know my mom is encouraging her, but she's probably the main supporter, followed by the people who aren't coming to the wedding. Dad is on my side, as are a few others. My brother and I always felt like Emma was Mom's favorite growing up. Dad usually tried to balance that out, but now our parents are divorced. It looks like Mom has been left to run wild with Emma. Her side is that when she brought Dan home the first time, she was going to make her move. But when I asked her if there was anything happening, I accepted the no without asking any further questions. E.g., do you want something to happen with you and Dan? Do you have feelings for Dan? Would you mind if I flirted with him? Etc. And then he met me, and it was game over. She still spent the last couple years they were together at uni trying to make it happen. But he was into me by then. This is what she's told the family, and while they seem to acknowledge that I didn't do anything unreasonable, the consensus seems to be that I should have taken a hint, or asked more questions, or just left him alone. This is hilarious. She doesn't love him. This is obsessive and kinda creepy. Like, Dan has no say whatsoever as to what sister he marries. He must marry her because she likes him, having no thought as to he doesn't like her back. He has no agency. He can't choose for himself who he wants in his life. That's what she's saying. Forgive me, but I'm losing sleep over this issue, and I can't seem to control myself. Context. 3 months ago, my husband, age 37, got stuck in his ex-wife's house while he was dropping off their 7-year-old son because of bad weather. He couldn't drive and spent the night there. It was no big deal, though. This was the first time he spent the night at his ex's our entire 3 years of marriage. Recently, I read his ex-wife's announcement on Facebook that she was expecting, 3 months in, and kept referring to the baby as her son's brother, sister, without adding half, which might mean nothing since many people don't pay much attention to stuff like that. I call my stepsister just sister, so I can understand that. But to be honest, the timing is what made me concerned. I did the math and couldn't help but think of the possibility of the baby being my husband's. My husband was acting normal, which is what made me hold my tongue and keep my thoughts to myself. But once his ex-wife started attempting to call often and meet often, I had to bring it up to him openly, given how uncomfortable her behavior made me recently. He didn't take it well at first and said he was not having this conversation because of how off the map it was, then explained he no longer had feelings for his ex after she cheated on him, and said he wouldn't have a child, his son, with her in the first place had he known then what he knows now. He called me crazy to even hint there's even a slight chance the baby is his, and acted hurt for days because I accused him of something he'd never do, and insisted it wasn't his fault the bad weather kept him from going home and forced him to stay the night at his ex's house. He said he wanted to go wait at the gas station, but his son wanted him to stay, and he slept in his room. Then he left first thing in the morning. Like I said, the timing is what gets me, as well as her attempts to get close to him, like visiting often for private conversations that my husband refuses to share with me. I've been told she never wanted a divorce and wanted to work things out, but my husband couldn't do it. He hated her. I spoke to my stepson about that night, and he told me a slightly different story. He said his dad left the room twice for good periods of time. I tried to get him to be more specific and remember how long he was out of the room. He said he didn't know since he fell asleep shortly after his dad left the room the second time. I felt frustrated. I really want to stop dragging and dropping this in my mind, but something is preventing me from doing that. I'm struggling to have some peace of mind since the ex announced her pregnancy, and I don't know why I have such a strong feeling something is up. I can't talk to her since she's vicious and hates me with a passion, so I'd only imagine how she'd react to what I tell her. I don't know if she and her current boyfriend were trying for a baby. They haven't been together for long, and they didn't seem serious as far as I know. My sister said I have the right to feel uncomfortable about this. I want to get this out of my head and go on with my life, but my husband keeps refusing to discuss how I'm feeling, let alone try to give me reassurance for my concerns. I figured I might get some outside perspective from a third party. First off, don't involve his kid. Don't put him in the middle by asking him what happened, and to account everything his dad did that night. That is so wrong. If you're curious, think something's up, etc., that's between you and your husband, not him. Tell your husband you'd like to have a serious talk just to put your mind at ease. Maybe the ex just wants you to think that, since the timing is so perfect. That way, she makes things difficult in your home front. Also, you'll find out once the kid is born if she comes after your husband for child support or lists him on the birth certificate. So, there is a lot of background, but I will try to make it as simple as possible. I have been with Alex for 4 years, and he is the love of my life. His mom, my future mother-in-law, has never liked me. She can be very mean, girlish. I don't want Alex to go no contact with her. I don't really believe in it unless there is dire need. But yes, I do hate this woman and vent about her a lot. My future mother-in-law has been dating Simon for 9 months. Simon used to be married to my mom's best friend. There was no cheating, but it is a very painful situation for the friend. So my mom has 2 reasons to hate future mother-in-law. One more important background thing. When my in-laws were married, father-in-law cheated and wanted to get around paying her more in the divorce due to being in an at-fault state. He tried to portray her as an alcoholic, though she never was, and he slipped something into her drink to make her look bad in public. Future mother-in-law had a bad trip in front of a lot of people. It brought up childhood abuse, and father-in-law was criminally charged. As a result, future mother-in-law does not touch any type of recreational drug or drink anything stronger than wine. She feels strongly about being in control of her body. So, back to present day. My mom absolutely hates future mother-in-law for how she treats everyone. She has a reputation of being a bee and a massive diva, and it is well deserved. We had an engagement party, and my mom decided to play a very badly thought-out prank on future mother-in-law. My mom brought her a glass of wine and had a couple friends with her, all mutual friends of Simon's ex. At one point, my mom joked that she put something in the wine. I didn't see this, but future mother-in-law didn't believe her at first. They started slurring their words and acting really weird, like something out of a fever dream, and it started to freak future mother-in-law out. Then, someone grabbed her from behind, and she freaked, ran into the other room screaming, and ended up having a panic attack in Simon's arms. Simon lost his crap and was screaming at my parents. At this point, he didn't seem to understand it was just a panic attack and wanted a toxicology report done. My dad managed to calm him down, and he left with future mother-in-law. Alex yelled at my mom and then got her in the car with Simon and future mother-in-law. Alex came home that night and yelled at me, accused me of being in on it, and said my mom is an evil bee. Future mother-in-law is now totally humiliated. This woman does not show emotion ever, and she cried in front of all those people. She is talking about not wanting to go to the wedding because she is so embarrassed. Alex now wants to uninvite my mom and all of our family friends so future mother-in-law will feel comfortable. He keeps saying my mom is an evil bee and he will never forgive her, but he isn't acknowledging any of the stuff that brought this on. Now future mother-in-law is saying she never wants to see me again, and he is saying it is her choice. We don't want kids, so maybe this is manageable. But I don't know. My dad and Simon's friendship is totally destroyed. I feel like my relationship is on the rocks. My mom has offered to apologize, but Alex isn't ready to hear her out. Your mother tried to destroy your marriage because she can't stand the mother of your fiancé. She doesn't want you to marry Alex, and you can't even see it. Simple. You should prohibit your mom from attending the wedding, in addition to her friends who are mutual friends of Simon's ex. You should also apologize to your fiancé and future mother-in-law, and clearly state that your mom's actions do not represent you, and that you had no knowledge of her plans. Is there a reason you haven't screamed at your mom and called her an evil bee? When I was 16, I had to have a hysterectomy during a medical emergency. I know I am not just infertile, I am sterile. I can never have children. My husband and I have been married for about 5 years, and I have had what I thought was a pretty perfect relationship. While there are the occasional ups and downs, we rarely fight. We connect on every single level, and he's my best friend. From the beginning of our relationship, he told me he was never interested in having children. I made my lack of a uterus very clear, and I was certain at the time that there was no doubt in his mind that I couldn't have children. 2 years ago, his sister had a baby, and she's a delight. We all love and dote on her. We babysit her a few times a month. Even though we didn't want children of our own, we love caring for our niece. However, over the months, I've noticed a change in my husband, especially since quarantine started. He'll talk about having a family and seems more open to the prospect of children. Every time he brings it up, I remind him that biological children are impossible, but that we could eventually look into adopting or fostering. He'll usually drop it after that, but a few weeks later, he'll talk about it again. 3 days ago, he sat me down and told me he wants to look into fertility treatments for me. We're religious, so he told me that in vitro fertilization and a surrogate are off the table, but there are other medical treatments we could consider. I was very taken aback and told him that those treatments wouldn't work for me since I don't have a uterus. He didn't believe me, so I had to find articles to show him that I truly couldn't ever have a child. He apparently thought that sterility and infertility were the same, and that although I couldn't get pregnant, that with treatment, we could have kids one day when he was ready for them. He has barely spoken to me in 3 days. I understand this is a massive bomb to drop on someone, and that was never my intention at all. I've tried to be there for him, but he keeps pushing me away. I ended up looking through his iMessage on his computer when he was in the shower, which I know was wrong. These are private, and I regret it. He had texted his brother about how he doesn't want to adopt because he doesn't want to raise another man's child. He also alluded to me being less of a woman because I can't ever have his children. Those are words I never expected to read. It's extremely out of character for my husband to behave like this, and I'm at a loss for what to do. Any attempt at communication is shut down. I know it's only been 3 days, but I'm terrified he'll pack up and leave me because I can't have his children. Where do I even start to try to fix this? You didn't drop a bomb here. He knew you didn't have a uterus. It's not your fault that he didn't actually get what that means. Like, wow, education is so important, eh? If anything, he changed the expectation of children from the sound of what you've written here. You might need to do some intense therapy together to work through this. But if he can't get past this, then there's really not much you can do. My relationship with my ex may not have been completely perfect. She was never the best with communicating, and I enabled her. Despite our flaws, we were happy and have a child together, 11. I'm 32 male. During our relationship, I met a woman, now my girlfriend, 36 female, and I didn't think anything of it. Our sons went to football together, so our communication was purely on the group chat, which other parents were on. Our sons at this time were 6. During the course of a year, my relationship completely fell apart, and I had no idea why. We tried to make it work, but every time we made progress, it was like we stepped back again. I've been thinking about proposing lately because things have been going well. Girlfriend has always had a certain type of friend, and usually these friendships end poorly. She had a falling out with a close friend over said friend refusing to repay her. Things were said, and they went no contact. Friend got in touch with me to enlighten me as to the type of woman my girlfriend is. Screenshots were included of my girlfriend openly talking about how she lied to my ex-wife about us sleeping together. In these screenshots, she didn't seem remorseful at all. I had been with my ex-wife since we were 14. She was my first love, and to find out my girlfriend ruined our relationship with stupid lies. I do want to reach out to my ex-wife about this. Maybe I should ask her before I ask my girlfriend, but if she didn't tell me then, why would she tell me now? I don't know which way is up at the moment. If it were me, I would talk to my ex first. Let her confirm, deny what has been said. Then decide what you want before you talk to your girlfriend, because she is going to cry, beg, threaten, you name it. So you need to decide and stand firm with that decision.